We're so distracted, we're so bombarded with information, the world is so fast, there's so much crazy, horrible stuff happening that we never ever really sit with who we are, contemplate what we're doing and where we're going without allowing that distraction to happen, or picking up a device to take our mind off things, or to not be bored for 5 minutes, and we lose focus very quickly. I don't think the camera does it justice, the view you get in this little spot that I'm at. You just see the sea. Yeah, beautiful. What a stunning day. For all its kinks the UK's got that I won't go into now, when we get a summer, oh, it's stunning. Now I'm sat somewhere, I wouldn't say super poignant to me, but definitely somewhere I've been before. I'm on Woodbury Common, which is a training area, well it's public land, private land, whatever it is, near the Commando Training Centre, where they bring the recruits up as part of their phases in training into becoming a commando. And I think I'm sat in one of the start points where they launch the recruits to go off and do individual stalks, which is to sort of camouflage yourself in all this stuff and then creep up to the enemy, take a shot, don't get spotted, and then pass the test.
Bravo 6, going dark.
And I'm really enjoying just walking around, sitting in these types of spots and then talking to the camera about my musings. But I definitely want to stay on track for what this channel and my content is about. The liminal path, the bit in between of who you were and who you're becoming, and that change that we see on that path. And I've talked a lot through my articles, through the content that I'm beginning to record around how lots of people want to get from A to B really quickly. Very few people actually want to sit with the path in the middle, but ironically that's where most of our growing happens. And you talk to people which have climbed Everest, they don't talk about the summit, they talk about the journey to and from the summit, which is the journey from A to B. But we live in a society where everything has to be quick, we cut corners, we want to do this quickly, we want access to that now, deliver me this thing through Prime, I want to lose this weight really quickly, I want this job now, and you know, do we spend enough time in the middle, going through the challenge, going through the suffering, to then forge us into who we are becoming? So that's what this is all about. I talk very openly about how I'm on this path, and I'm quite content maybe always being on this path, and I don't actually know what my B is. I had breakfast with a friend the other day and we talked about this, and I said, well, perhaps point A is birth and point B is death, and everything in between is the journey. But what we do as individuals is we break that journey down into steps. You move through childhood, you go to school, there's certain exams and bars you must hit if you want to do, you know, what most people do, especially in the Western world, which is then go to college, go to university, then we maybe spend a year traveling. We then come back, we start to get our career, our job, we start to work that ladder. We meet a partner, we engage that partner, we're in rented accommodation or housing, so then we move to mortgage and we buy our first house and we get on the ladder, and then we marry that partner, and then we buy a dog, and then we have our first child, and then the second child or third child comes along and you buy the fish and whatever else, and then that kind of cycle of what you've been through begins to repeat through your children. We get older, then we're less looking at our careers anymore, and we're looking at our pensions, retirement. We hit pensions, retirement, we take a few years off, we then end up in an old people's home, and then we die. And that's pretty much the cycle. And now that they're the milestones that are kind of through society, through life, can't help some of those things. put in place, or the narrative of those being in place that we feel like we have to follow, because it's the right thing to do. Hey guys, just a quick one. Thank you for watching this video. Always, to help it grow, please like and subscribe to the channel. But if you're also interested in what I'm talking about around the liminal path and being part of a community where people are more interested in the journey in the middle, the link for the community is in the description of this video. And it's a community of people who think exactly like this. We do live working sessions, we do some meetups. I regularly share resources and content that I don't release across my open free channels to talk about this subject around the liminal path. And if growth and being on that path and being part of that journey and being around people who are also doing it is what you're into, click the link below and you'll find your way there. And that's what it feels like, that life is a series of getting from A to B, quite often quite quickly, with as less or at least suffering involved as possible, to make up all these things that make our life before the pearly gates come. I think that's one of the saddest things about how we live, is actually that's the path that we feel like we have to tread. I don't know about you, I've been doing a lot of reflecting lately. One thing I've noticed about myself quite often is I get a lot of brain fog. I seem to struggle with clarity. I used to have a lot of vision. I used to see things maybe slightly differently, very creatively, and I think that's what helped power my startup career, that's for sure. I would have to say in the last 15 months, maybe 24 months, since going through a very depressive cycle, really struggling with my mental health, going through suicidal phases, burnout being a massive one, coming out the other side of that, really feeling like there's something big within myself, but I can't tap into it. It almost feels locked in there. And I know some of that will be down to medical conditions. So I know burnout causes, or chronic burnout causes, a lot of brain fog and can do for several years afterwards. You know, when your brain physically changes during depression cycles. And so I know some of what I'm sitting with is quite natural. I also understand quite a lot of it's self-inflicted. So when we get bored, we pick up our phone, we doom scroll, we read stuff, we watch stuff, we consume content, play games. And we can do that for hours, and that again, you know, rewires the brain, not in a good way. It makes us crave the dopamine hits more, but the dopamine hits are very superficial. They don't last long. We're not getting these boosts that we want, so we stay essentially connected to the phone or the modern day hypodermic needle to consume, to try and feel good. And that's quite often what people are doing when they're using devices and using social media and technology, is I just want to feel good, I just want to feel good, feel good, feel good, feel good, bored, feel good, bored. Never really comes, does it? You never really get that feeling of like, oh my God, I just watched something that has just revolutionized my life. I feel amazing. I don't need to watch any more content anymore, and I'm going for an 8-hour walk and life has changed. Doesn't happen. And I do this quite a lot, admittedly. If I'm getting brain fog or can't think straight, I just pick up a phone and let that distract me. And I know I'm doing it. It really annoys me as well. I know I'm doing it. I'm like, you're on your phone again. You spent an hour again trying to distract yourself of superficial content that doesn't do anything for you. What are you doing? There's a voice in my head. What are you doing? What are you doing? Another voice going, let's just watch it. But on a deeper level, what I do really sit with is that it? Is that it? That's what life has formed itself into? These stages of childhood, exams, college, uni, travel, buy a house, get married, career, retire, old age, die. And then in the middle of that is just constantly topping up dead space and missing feeling or lack of clarity, brain fog, with devices, distractions, quick dopamine hits, the modern day drugs that distract us away from the boredom or the ability to sit and think. That's where I see a lot of people, myself included, are just trying to get from A to B really quickly and happy to cut corners in doing so and not spend enough time in the growth stage. And I think it's making people lonelier, sadder, more depressed, more dependent on things they would not normally have had in their lives many years ago. It makes you think, well, where's this all going then? What does this do to society? What does this do to people? And without sounding like a massive conspiracist, what led me here was my trip down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. I fell into trying to understand everything about Epstein and the world elites and UFOs and the Illuminati and the banking systems and everything else that kind of falls into that conspiracy iceberg. But that's not what this is about. And actually what this is about is how that journey down the rabbit hole led me to understanding Gnosticism more, the Nag Hammadi texts, what Jesus was really saying thousands of years ago around the divine spark. God is within you, the kingdom of heaven is within you, and all these things that now when you look at it, the modern day understanding of all he was talking about was basically personal growth, personal development, and being on that journey towards enlightenment, unlocking your divine spark. And that is the heaviest thing that sat with me in my sort of 30 plus 8 years on this earth of, I really want to tap into that. I want to be on that journey. I want to be growing as an individual. I want to be discovering that about myself and actually recognizing it's happening within. And I think, my message for this video is I don't think enough people are realizing that exists within them. We're so distracted, we're so bombarded with information. The world is so fast. There's so much crazy, horrible stuff happening that's often forced down our necks to distract us, that we never ever really sit with who we are, contemplate what we're doing and where we're going without allowing that distraction to happen, or picking up a device to take our mind off things, or to not be bored for 5 minutes, and we lose focus very quickly. And that's where brain fog comes in, that's lack of clarity and so on. Well, if you've got this far in the video, you might have noticed that the location has changed. It's hot, I'm going to have to open the door. My microphone just died. So I spent another 20 minutes talking to a camera with no audio coming out. So in keeping of what we were talking about, when you experience challenge and difficulty, how you objectively stand back and go, what's the universe trying to tell me? I literally have just lived and breathed that. On a very minute scale, and the universe was telling me, charge your batteries before you come out. Yes, Mr. or Mrs. Universe. Strangely, without overthinking it, I just had the nicest walk back with nothing, phone was in my bag. Just enjoying the countryside. So, but just to finish off from what I was just saying, we don't spend enough time with that in between. Very few people are actually willing to objectively look at a situation and have the courage to go, what is this trying to tell me? You'll know many people, you might be one yourself, where you're like, I just want this pain over with. How do I get from point A to point B as quick as I can? I need options, I need to change this immediately. Or we pick a phone up, we pick the device up, we distract ourselves and we take our mind off it for a little bit so we don't have to face it. But there's something very, very powerful in the ability to go, something's happening here, something's trying to tell me something, I need to listen. And you can do this by slowing yourself down using, technique like box breathing is a good example, where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4, and then hold for 4. That often helps you slow down everything, allows us to rationally think about a situation, then we think with more clarity. Now, you think when you're in a difficult situation, if you have the ability to do that, you're then going to rationalize the situation over irrationalizing it and overthinking it. So, that technique alone is really good. And the ability to hold off going on your phone or distracting yourself with something so you don't have to sit with the difficulty. That in itself, the ability to stop, pause and think, not be distracted, and allow yourself to objectively go, what am I trying to be told here? What's the message? What do I need to change? How do I need to think about this differently? You will then begin to sit with things that quite often are suppressed. And you'll recognize this. Have you ever had a moment where you've gone and you think about it very differently? And you start to think, what if I did this? Or maybe I should follow my dream. What if I did make this decision? And you get like butterflies, or you might get heart palpitations, or you begin to warm inside. That's your mind and your body going, yes, you're starting to listen, follow this. And, ironically, that's what thousands of years worth of Jesus's teachings were all about. Don't look out, look in, listen to what's happening inside and allow that to guide you. And that is where you begin to make decisions that are A, aligned to your values, but B, are the ones you want to do and make. Very few people allow themselves to do that. Again, they pick up the phone, they get distracted, they do whatever, and they don't sit with the thoughts, or they just crack on, or they cut the corner to something else that will ease the pain. Don't. Be objective. Sit still with the challenge and try and think, what is this telling me? And something inside will begin to respond. That thing we've suppressed for decades, that technology's pushed down, that, the global elites are all getting us to not be able to access. Whatever the excuses for not accessing it, something will begin to change. Something will begin to bubble up, and you'll start to look at the world in a completely different light to what you've looked at it before. And all it is just stopping, sitting still with what's happening and thinking about it. And you'll make decisions that you never thought you ever had the confidence or courage to ever make. Trust me.